Hey guys, let's chat about what anabolic actually is. So the style of training, what the word means itself, how it differs potentially from what you've done prior to trying this style of training. So let's start with the definition itself. It's a really fancy scientific word for optimizing muscle growth, right? So what we're trying to do, and we know now with the data that's out there, is build as much muscle as we can and get super strong. So training in this format and in this style over the 12 weeks, what we've done is broken it down, created a really tailored program that we know will stack volume, that if we do it right with the rest periods and we perform each rep and each session, each set as optimally as possible, we give ourselves the best chance at building muscle, right? Now, building muscle is it's a precious process for the human body to do, and it requires getting a lot of things right in the background, but the style of training in particular, there are ways that we can optimize building muscle, right? So the biggest difference potentially from what you've done before versus anabolic itself will be running the rest periods between your sets and exercises. So clearly, we know we need to lift weights to build muscle, right? To lift weights as optimally as possible, that means more weights or potentially range of motion or potentially more load. What we need to do is recover in between so that when we enter the next set, we're not feeling fatigued, our heart rate is not up, and we can focus on performing that rep once again as optimally as possible, right? So the rest periods, 90 seconds to 2 minutes, are between every single set and every single exercise that you do over this 12 weeks, right? So that means it might look like doing a set, which is quite challenging, and I'll touch on that in a tick, and then we rest, okay? So we literally are going to be resting, talking and giving feedback to myself, how it felt, where we can perform the next rep better, and we're trying to break down and make sure that the entire session, every single rep, every single set, we're performing as optimally as possible, right? So given that, okay, what I want to chat about is how to perform the set as optimally as possible, right? Now, what we do to get this right is we work in proximity to failure. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that we're trying to fatigue the muscle to, say, an 8 out of 10 on every single set. So let's use the example of a bicep curl. Whether I'm holding 5 kilos or 15 kilos, depending on my sets and reps, what I'm trying to do is work towards an 8 out of 10 difficulty on that set. And what that will leave me is feeling challenged. It'll leave me feeling a little bit fatigued, maybe a bit short of breath. And then I'm going to recover and I'm going to try and do that set again. And potentially if there's 3 sets, I'll try it a third time, whatever set in the programming, right? Always that 8 out of 10 mark is the sweet spot. That means we've got a couple of reps in reserve, but we've challenged the set to be as difficult as possible, right? So that means even if you're holding a light weight, right, what we're trying to do is do the rep as optimally as possible with timing. So we're trying to squeeze at the top. We're controlling on the way down, right? So it doesn't matter necessarily how much weight you have. What we're trying to do is create a really challenging environment for the muscle itself so that we work it close to failure in proximity there, and then we let it recover and we go again, right? And then the synthesis process will come on your off days. That's where we're recovering, we're not lifting weights, we're stacking protein, sleeping well, just getting daily movement in, hydrating. These things are part of the environment in an anabolic program as well. So hope that makes sense, gives you some insight. I'll have another video coming up on how to particularly train, called How to Train Like a Bodybuilder. That is the style that we're after. So I'll touch in a little bit more detail later, but hope that video helps. Get yourself set for that. Get yourself set for something different, away from that high intensity sort of style of training. We're bringing the intensity back and we're challenging ourselves to lift weights as best as possible. So I hope that makes sense. Any questions, just drop below and we'd love to answer them for you guys.